Chiefs Kingdom, welcome in to the latest edition of the AP Breakdown. Yes, the 7-0 Chiefs. We are taking a closer look at them tonight. Beating the Raiders, obviously, this last weekend in Vegas, Sunday afternoon. I am Ron Kopp Jr. at Ron_Kopp on Twitter. With me, as always, Caleb James at CJ Scoobs. We are undefeated as a duo on this YouTube show. I think that's worth noting here, Caleb. How you feeling? 7-0.
Feeling good, and yeah, I mean, it is worth noting this is one of the best starts the Chiefs have had under Andy Reid, and he's been here since 2013. I still think what is it? That first season he was here in 2013, we got to 9-0, and
Yes,
then
sir.
they did drop a few to end that year. Then 18, they got to like 6-0 before they ran into a hot Patriots team, but.
Yes.
This team has always kind of started fast under Andy outside of really the last couple of seasons, but this is kind of them coming out of the gates at pretty good clip, and they're getting ready for some exciting football.
No, it is pretty amazing that the furthest undefeated they've been in the Mahomes era is, I mean, there's been a lot of criticism of Mahomes this year, to say the least, and fair criticism. But man, that is maybe where we can start off tonight, Caleb, because I believe that was possibly Patrick Mahomes' best game of the season. When you just talk about being in control of the game, being in the rhythm, being in timing, just absolutely, just having control, not necessarily, making the bad play, right? His interception tipped at the line of scrimmage, that's a unlucky play. When he got sacked, Wanya Morris, Mahomes was a little deep in the pocket, right? Caleb, I mean, you could probably say that, right? But Wanya did get beat. Just real quick, I guess we don't have a clip of that or anything, Caleb, but uh, Wanya's performance on Sunday overall, maybe just, are you worried about it at all? And that play specifically too.
He definitely struggled. The worst games of his career, ironically, I think are both against the Raiders. That Christmas Day game last year, and then this last one definitely has to be up there. It's just it makes you a little bit nervous because he is just inconsistent. You get some really good flashes with him, but then you get some of those flashes where he gets held up. He gets some of the holding calls, and I know one of them was probably garbage. I thought the one that they called that was garbage, but that can really derail a game and derail a drive. So I don't know. Are we on maybe Donovan Smith watch? Possibly. Or is there going to be something to take a look at? I don't know. We'll see how he ends up coming back out, this week against Tampa Bay. Pretty decent pass rush there they have. But, Ron, I think you got something that everyone's going to want to take a look at because Chiefs finally got a chance to see a pretty legit wide receiver in their offense for the first time in some while.
Oh, absolutely. No, DeAndre Hopkins, only played 23 snaps, I believe. It's about a third of the offensive snaps on Sunday. But to be able to make a few big plays like he did, and we're going to show the third down that he came in his first snap as a Chief coming in on third down and just being a reliable zone beater. That's kind of where we're starting with DeAndre Hopkins because, when you think about Rashee Rice's, kind of progression as a player, going from last year really just, and he quickly did learn how to, settle into zones much better than everyone else around him, right? We all saw that. But they are missing that. Rice has so many big play abilities, so many different things. But, he was also very good at just finding that pocket away from Travis Kelce. So what you're going to see here, trip set, Kelce's on the other side. Kelce and Hopkins are the guys, working that intermediate, right? So McCole Hardman is running vertical. Xavier Worthy gets outside this corner. You're looking at kind of a quarters coverage. You got 4 over the top. And look how much cushion Xavier Worthy gives D-Hop to, and McCole, I should say. There's just so much room right here. And he just has good timing with Mahomes. That's just D-Hop knowing, feeling where he can turn. He goes right past the linebacker, gets towards the sideline, knowing that Worthy has widened the corner, right? Worthy's action here is getting this corner towards the sideline. So D-Hop is going to come towards the sideline and settle into that zone. But you love to see the good timing, right? Mahomes, we'll pause it maybe when he's releasing it. D-Hop is just turning. We love to see it. Mahomes' first attempt at throwing a D-Hop is, really well timed, gets a third down conversion, keeps a drive alive, keeps a touchdown drive alive. And that's what, again, we're going to see more of with D-Hop, playing that Juju Smith-Schuster or Rashee Rice role. Being able to kind of just be a reliable player. And this player, or this play here, I'm going to share, is an incompletion to D-Hop, right? It was that one that sailed over his head on the second drive of the game, I believe. But what you like about it, again, the timing. Mahomes, 3-step drop, kind of cheats it a little bit, but he knows he's going there because what he recognizes, and hopefully D-Hop and Kelsey did too, one of the most experienced receiver duos, Caleb, when you think about it, just a little tangent, like it is kind of wild. Like, I don't think there are many more experienced when you talk about combined, just overall talent and, how long they've been playing. D-Hop and Kelsey, man, they're going to be, smart together. And this is a good example of it. I'll get this thing out of the way so you can see it. Cover 2. Well, actually, excuse me. No, it doesn't look like it right now, but they're gonna rotate into, kind of, where this guy's shading over like he's in cover 2. They probably, have it half split, right, where the coverage is, one way on the other side of the field and another. But this is a cover 2 kind of look on the bottom, where this corner is going to be responsible for this flat zone, where he's going to be for short routes to the outside. And when you have Travis Kelce as that outside receiver, that corner is going to be paying attention to what he's doing right off the line of scrimmage. Hopkins having a free release, this is just easy money. And I wonder, I mean, it is a design play for sure. But, I wonder if maybe there is any pre-snap adjustment here where it's just like, look, like, just kind of go straight there. Maybe the route is a little more complicated than this, but he's just going right there. Incompletion, though. And I do want to point out that, I really believe Mahomes put it in the right place. When you've seen Mahomes throw these, throughout his career, it does feel like he likes to put them more vertically, and maybe, and honestly, on this play specifically, he has room to work vertically. The corner, is the one that can make a play on this if you make it too shallow. The safety is deep and is slow getting over. So Diop has the room to not get hit. I mean, obviously he lays out for it and still doesn't get touched or anything. He had plenty of room. I think this is just a time, just how many plays, how many reps he has, right, Caleb? Like, this is something that easily gets, like, as an easy completion for them as soon as maybe even next week.
Yeah, I like Kelsey. Kelsey's even calling it out where the ball needs to go too. If you guys notice that, but
he does always do that. It's hilarious.
He kind of, I mean, but like some guys just get it. Like you can tell there's a reason Hopkins has been who he is for so long. He understands it. He understands that, this is a different playbook I'm in, but there's only so many variations of this route that I can run against, this particular type of coverage. He understands that. He's seen it all before. So it's not just like the physical attributes, and I think we're about to see a pretty awesome play here in just a second, but it's also that mental side of the game where he's going to be like light years above of what the Chiefs have right now, currently active on the roster, just because he's played all these snaps. He knows what's getting ready to happen. And this play right here, I loved this, late half situation, something like that, just I feel like in the playoffs, you're going to see something like this in a big spot where the Chiefs need to get into field goal range from Butker to go put one up.
Yeah, and so the last 2 plays we showed y'all, D-Hop was beating zone coverage, right? He was understanding where to go. He was understanding how to get away from, defenders that have their eyes on the quarterback, not necessarily guarding him specifically. This is the switch up where he beats man coverage and does it impressively, where you're going to see him come off the line of scrimmage and really give a really, decisive but super quick. You almost can't even see it, how quick he gives him a little inside step. And that's why that corner's off balance. That's why that corner has, is so inside leverage. He doesn't necessarily, this corner is playing inside leverage. But actually at the same time, right off the snap, he's kind of on that outside shoulder. So D-Hop's movement gets him into inside leverage, puts him in the position to be where when he goes to the sideline, he has natural separation. He doesn't have to do anything special necessarily. He just has to time up his route. He can't, obviously telegraph it, right? He just has to, break off quickly. But that initial move at the line of scrimmage is why he had, that ability to have the separation at the sideline, the easy catch. And you love to see the hands catch, right? We love seeing that around Chiefs Kingdom, just after fears of some, droppy drops. Let's get one of the best catchers of all time in the building, and you're gonna see just reliability. And one thing I talked about in an article this week is just how it, it's going to make Mahomes more confident. And you're seeing it in this game. Like, even though D-Hop did not, necessarily play the whole game, and all the time, man, Mahomes was definitely more comfortable. We already talked about that, but just, it really is, an emphasis. I think it really is important that the Chiefs did that, got him someone, because they could have got him, a very lower scale player, right, Caleb? Like, and Mahomes is obvious, great quarterbacks are supposed to elevate the players around them, but at the same time, like, you don't need to make it, insane on them. And obviously the Chiefs had it set up this year, before the injuries and everything, but I'm just glad, the Chiefs made, it seems to be, as long as he stays healthy, a very good decision. And this is one of the most exciting plays. One, he didn't even get the ball. What a freaking move. That is all I'll say here. Hopefully you guys can see it. I know the end zone angle or the wide angle can make it small, but just an absolutely aggressive move, in the middle of his route. First of all, not even like kind of in like a, sometimes receivers run these kind of, where they're trying to make a move like this, and the fake move is almost predictable when it's going to happen. Just because they're not thinking too much about, throwing that off. You see D-Hop, like, his little fake is just kind of in a weird, spot in the route, kind of a sudden time. And not only is it, kind of well timed, to really throw the corner off, just take a look at just how aggressive he is with his hands and how quickly he gets back. Like, that is elite stuff. And that is, once Mahomes sees that on tape and understands that, look, he has the play side. He's looking at the strong side of the play. That is the play side of, call, right? At the same time, once he realizes that, if he doesn't like anything play side and he just can turn backside, and he can feel like D-Hop's going to be open over the middle on those third downs where they're sending pass rushers and leaving the middle of the field open, Caleb, it's going to get fun around here. I don't know. Did you get excited watching D-Hop's debut? What'd you think about it?
I mean, how can you not? I mean, this is the kind of move that a team that's going for like a three-peat goes for. A team that,
Yes,
desperately wants to make the Super Bowl. And yeah, I mean, you saw last week, a couple weeks ago, the other teams around the AFC, they made their moves. They reloaded with their trades. But the Chiefs went out and got their guy, a guy who, Hopkins, like we talked about last week, had been on their radar a couple off seasons ago. Now they had a chance to go get him, and they did. I just think there's, you have to be optimistic about it because he's bringing a skill set to the team that A, they've missed, and B, with some of the contested catch stuff, there's going to be some amazing catches down the sideline that I'm excited for. Like, I'm excited to see this kind of stuff. But when you get him in there, and on the play Travis Kelce scored on, I don't think we have it clipped or anything.
Oh boy, I was just about to pull it up.
Man, look at that. I'm just going to say on this one, you kind of see the defense, or, they're paying attention to him. They're like, oh, his Chiefs debut, are they going to give him a look? No, they're going to get Kelce number 1 on the season. But, just having another guy around the red zone is always going to help, get your other guys open.
Oh, yeah. No, this was awesome to see Kelce get in the end zone for the first time this year. Crazy to say that. But, yeah, no, you're right. D-Hop, again, you're going to see this a lot where he is the isolated receiver, where the Chiefs really have 4 receivers on one side of the ball, 4x1 set. They like to do that a lot. It overwhelms the defense's coverage, right? When you talk about there's 2x2 sets, there's 3x1 sets. There's a lot of rules change, in cover 2 or, whatever zone, when it's 4x1. And it's exactly what happens here where the Raiders go to zone in the red zone. It's kind of a, teams obviously mix it up, but, you see a lot of man coverage in the red zone. This is straight zone. They're dropping, trying to pick stuff up. And you actually see, someone that obviously is threatening to blitz here. He's going to drop out and try to take away Kelce. But this is what I love about it. Mahomes just rips it, trusts his arm, and he needs to do that more because he has this arm to get into tight windows. This is as tight as it gets in the red zone, and he just rifles it in there. Good timing, no hesitation. His footwork plants off his back foot and rips. And what you're also going to see too, the end zone angle will show it. He does, I think, take a quick glance at that safety, number 7, Morig, who is a playmaker to an extent. And I think and I'll back that up. I think what he was maybe just making sure of, because Morig's definitely creeping up, right? Where if he puts on the Jets, if he see Mahomes, turns his shoulders that way at the snap, 7 can turn on the Jets and maybe break up this route to the slant to D-Hop, which again, D-Hop does appear to be, open where it's like, yeah, if the ball's here, it's a touchdown, right? There's no one there. Again, I think Morig was kind of lurking there. And if Mahomes would have really like kind of turned that direction at the snap, right? Because the ball's got to get out quick, and I think 7 was just kind of Mahomes saw that, and that's why he knew, okay, I'm going to Kelsey no matter what, and I just need to rifle it in there. It was great to see. So yeah, no, what a play. National Tight Ends Day, of course, Kelsey has to score, right? That wasn't annoying enough with the rest of the. I didn't even watch that much football around this weekend, but I heard everyone else talking about how annoying tight end day was. But good to see our tight end and Noah Gray. I shouted him out on Twitter this week. You broke him down for a good game against the Niners last week, right? I shouted him out how pretty crazy. He has the second highest catch rate in the entire NFL among qualified, receivers and pass catchers, any player. And he catch rate over expected is just kind of a measurement of like how unlikely, his catches should be or whatever, like, how above and beyond he's going as a catcher. And he leads the entire NFL in that rate. Like this dude is having an awesome year. So yeah, maybe before we, with D-Hop, with Kelsey, with everyone else going on in the offense, shout out Noah Gray before we get into the defense, right, Caleb? Got to love the tight end sets. They're coming. They're still going to be a big, real quick, I like 12 personnel is still, I honestly, maybe the Chiefs' best package, even with D-Hop in the mix. I think it's still D-Hop, Xavier Worthy, Noah Gray, and Travis Kelsey. What do you think?
No, I still like what we're seeing with the 12. I like some of the stuff we're seeing where they're shifting like Kelsey out of the I formation. They've got like the full house backfields where they've got both tight ends back there. So definitely, I mean, I just think it's definitely fun to see a lot of that stuff. And we got a little comment here. They say D-Hop definitely had opportunity to get the TD running that ISO route. Yeah, I'd agree. It was there, but he was kind of the eye candy. I think that's going to come, man. I think Monday Night Football, Arrowhead, I think that they're going to want to bring the house down against the Tampa Bay team that's been giving up a lot of points lately. So we'll see.
Hey, yeah, looking forward. I agree. I feel like this game might be, I think Mahomes is in a rhythm right now that he's not going to break Monday night. And maybe a bullet no look coming up, according to Bay Boy, from Twitter. Caleb, I could see that coming. If he's feeling himself. I mean, we saw the preseason. We didn't forget Mahomes. He tried to put us off the scent, but we're waiting for that play to come back out in a moment.
Yeah. Well, Pat played with a lot more confidence too, and I think that was one of the best things we saw here. But I'm going to start.
Yeah, I was just going to say, no doubt about it. You're 100%. Like it was so clear, and yeah, I mean, I pointed it out on Twitter, and I think a lot of people saw that. It was pretty clear to see that. And again, what changed? DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup. I really think that could have just, been a little boost to his mental.
Definitely sparked him. So for defensive breakdown this week, a lot of the time we usually take our clips. You guys see us clip different parts of the game. I'm clipping a big turning point. And like I said, this probably was Pat's best game of the season. He still had a pick. He got hit as he was throwing. So not necessarily all on him, and it was in the end zone. So he was definitely just trying to get it off and not give up the 2. But it set up the Raiders inside the 5-yard line. Chiefs defense had their back against the wall. This is first down. Not a great spot, but you're going to see this is where championship teams are made, is in situations like this. And I think this is maybe one of the most impressive moments from the Chiefs all season long. So let's get into it. Raiders come out here. They have some looser personnel in. They're doing this because they're going to try to run the ball. They don't want the Chiefs to have like all their big bodies right in there, even though the Chiefs are still tightening down their splits. They've got their overhang guys, but they want to have enough like quicker skill guys on the field so that like the Chiefs can't just go full like heavy load with like Mike Pennell and Derek Nottie. But they're getting like this because they're going to try to run. The Chiefs are actually baiting them. It looks like they have like a little loose box here. Justin Reed's basically playing linebacker. I would go ahead and say that Justin Reed is qualified enough to be able to stand in the box in a red zone situation like this. But 2 key things, and they just throw like that little eye candy motion there to try to get them. But really, this play is stopped. And how do you create stops on the goal line? You have to create either quick penetration or you have to hold people at the line of scrimmage and then swarm the ball. So take a look at George Karlaftis here, having maybe one of the most underrated seasons of anyone on the team. His stat production is starting to rise a little bit, but he's just been nails, especially in situations like this. So watch, he beats the tackle. He presses him way into the backfield. That takes away the run lane. You look at the other side of the line. Derek Nottie is going to do the same thing, and Chris Jones creates the penetration up the field, kind of setting the edge. So now there's nowhere to go. So the running back dances. Tranquil flows over and in, and then Tranquil and Bolton kind of both get in there. They push the pile a little bit. They didn't score. They got close, but now, okay, if you're the Raiders, you're feeling pretty good about yourself because you do have the ball in a goal to go situation from about the 1 yard line. So this should really be a pretty easy shot for the Raiders to take the lead on the Chiefs.
Oh yeah.
That did not quite happen because we are going to see here in just a second, but the Chiefs the Chief fence stepped up big in the biggest of ways. And I'll see where I have this clip pulled at here. So one thing that I found go ahead.
No, please. I want to hear your interesting note.
All right. Well, here we go.
Let's do it.
The play pulled up. Well, we just had that one up a second ago. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the ball's at about the 1 yard line. Raiders are in shotgun here. I don't understand why they're in shotgun. I think it's because they're going to try to make some cuts and see what happens. But you see Brock Bowers come across the line in motion, and now the Chiefs are packing the line of scrimmage. But you're going to see it's going to be similar people to the last play that created this play for the Chiefs. And the reason Bowers is going in motion like that is because he's getting ready to get in to the run blocking scheme himself. Look at old number 56 and 23, though. What did we just talk about? We said that stopping stuff on the goal line, you have to be able to move guys off the ball and stuff people at the line of scrimmage and create quick penetration. Karlaftis stuffs him, Nottie stuffs him, Jones stuffs him. Herring's like kind of setting the edge to the outside, but Tranquil, he just makes a great read. He just flies in through the C gap here, just takes what he has, and he makes the first contact. And now they're still kind of right around like that 1 yard line. The Raiders try to get a little surge, but the Chiefs were strong inside. They're able to hold them up from like the little shove into the end zone that you see from time to time. Yeah. And so now
let me just say real quick on Drew Tranquil. Like, I don't think any linebacker personifies knifing into the backfield like Drew Tranquil. Like I feel like he's so smooth and but sharp. I get the term. Knifing makes a lot of sense when you watch Drew Tranquil penetrate, in these situations. A thing of beauty.
And just a great stop. And you see Nick Bolton pushing back, everyone on the Chiefs hopping in to push the pile and not let him move forward. So the Raiders are basically going to be in the exact same situation they were on fourth down now, but they've tried to go up the middle twice and they haven't been able to get it in. So they're probably getting just a little bit nervous, I would say, on their end for kind of what they want to do. They probably aren't the most comfortable. So now they do come out under center. They're coming out, and now you see the Chiefs do got the big dogs in. They got these tight guys in. They got Leo Chenal back on the field, Wharton, Noddy, Pinnell. You got Jones, Karlaftis on the backside with Nick Bolton, Tranquil, Justin Reed, McDuffie, Cook. Everyone's down in the box. There's no hiding. There's no question what this is probably going to be. And the Raiders maybe try to fool him by going offset, but look at Leo Chenal just setting the edge. He's just long arming this tackle. The tackle's just turning his hips. He's not getting any movement off the ball. Leo is actually like controlling this block. He's got the long arm out. He's setting the edge. That's fantastic. He gives up no movement. The tackle, the running back can't get to his spot, and now he's got to start thinking, go back inside. Wharton does a good job of working over the blocks. I think they're expecting him to maybe try to cut inside or swim inside or something. He just runs over the top. But really where the bait comes here is Noddy lets the center beat him initially. Noddy allows himself to be reached, but this is a part of the plan kind of because they've got, edge setter Leo. They got Turk flowing out to the outside gap, and they've got Bolton and Tranquil are there. This is part of the trap because look at what Derek Noddy does. Derek Noddy presses the center into the backfield. They both get clipped by, I think that's Mike Pinnell that clips both of them and knocks them down, but there's not really bad. And it looks like it was more Drew Tranquil that knocks down Pinnell. Hey, a big pile like that on the goal line is not necessarily a bad thing because it's less places for the running back to go. But there's just nowhere for this guy to go, even with the lead blocker out of the backfield. Justin Reed's going to be there to anything to the outside. You got Bolton and Tranquil flowing. And I think Wharton's the first man to get to him, then Tranquil and Bolton come in and stuff the play, and you see the excitement. And now you start seeing like the Chiefs defense showing some of their swag. You see everyone starting to celebrate. I mean, this play is awesome.
No, I look at like Wharton's just relentlessness and Pennell, getting, I guess he didn't get up that quick, but like Wharton specifically to me, like you just kind of see him kind of just, no matter, he's on the ground and he's still trying to just make sure, that's this Chiefs defense has, so much, deserved swagger and confidence. And man, it's hard to imagine that, they're playing this well comparatively to last year. I mean, I thought we'd see a little bit of a drop off from just being kind of a dominant unit, but man, that is not the case. Domination is definitely a descriptor for the Chiefs defense.
In the best units, it's all about like, just the unit itself. Obviously the Chiefs do have someone named Mr. 95 who is a little bit better than everyone else, but he's even about to create this play now because now they've tried to run the ball 3 times from inside the 5 and they couldn't do it. So now they're going to resort to passing. Pretty much just they're down 4. They're going to try to go for it. This is a shot to beat the Chiefs at home. You have to try for it. But let's take a look at what happens because they come out in an empty set. And what do we think they're going to do? You already see the center. Look at the center at the snap. Look at who he's pointing at. Look, they're all kind of looking at him. They're all kind of motioning. He's waving his hand like, yeah, we're about to slide Chris Jones' way. You see the tackle out there, give the guard a tap. It's like, yeah. So look, you got all these guys. You got the guard and center with eyes on Jones, and the tackle is slow playing it so that Jones can't just rip to the outside and they're chipping FAU. But that's part of the sell. Like, that's what the Chiefs want. The Chiefs want this one-on-one back here because look at Karlaftis. He's coming off hot. He's got leverage. He's got inside hands, and he walks the tackle back. This freaks out Minshew a little bit. You got Nick Bolton fighting down here at the bottom of the screen. I think we'll just take a look because they do have this little hot route with Bowers, and I don't think anyone is going to let him get there. But it was all part of the sell because Minshew thinks he's got the slide protection, thinks he can step up. But you got Wharton one-on-one also, and he just comes off, makes the sack. The Chiefs get the stop, and they made this, it's the stop of the season. It saved the game. The Chiefs end up only going on to win by 7 points. I mean, look at this by Karlaftis. He's just fighting. He's getting held a little bit there. You see Wharton's wrapping Minshew up. You see Karlaftis still has a hold of the leg there too. But I mean, this is just smart football by the Chiefs in general. They're going to go Chris Jones's way. They're going to want 3 guys looking at him to make sure he doesn't just blow the play up. So you're going to let your other guys like Wharton and Karlaftis eat, and that is just a massive 4th down stop. As we said, the Chiefs would go on to win the game by 7. They just showed a lot of heart, a lot of resilience on that play. I was extremely impressed. That is the definition of we're not going to give another inch. We're drawing our line in the sand. We're a better, more physical team than the Raiders. I think Antonio Pierce, on Christmas Day, came out, said they looked like a tired, slow football team. I don't think anything about the Chiefs looked tired or slow this week. The game was never as close as the final score indicated either, I really thought.
And there is something to that where, last year maybe you could make the argument that, yeah, there was just some, mental stuff and bad mistakes, overall with the team. It wasn't like there was just crazy injuries. Obviously there were some injuries, but compared to this year. But I mean, I think maybe with the adversity they faced this year, maybe they've put themselves in kind of more of a motivated, week to week where they're really, kind of keyed in more maybe than they would be, a dynasty kind of team that has, won, I think it's 14 straight games now, or 13, maybe it's 13, playoffs and regular season. The last team to beat us was that Raiders game. Crazy enough. And shout out Lego My Ego, just throwing out the comments here. I put it up for a second, but of course the tranquilizer. I mean, Pro Bowl, it's tough, man. It's tough to make that Pro Bowl. Chiefs, Nick Bolton might have an argument, just with his popularity and how he's played. Obviously, I mean, Leo Chenal is if he wasn't a part-time player, he may even have an argument, Caleb. But I don't know. And then let's lead into this because Lego Mago also says he cannot wait to see Josh Uche on the field with Chris Jones, Furious George. It's going to be fun to watch. They thought our defense was good. What will they say now? That is a great question, my friend, because there is reason to be excited about the addition of former New England Patriots edge rusher, pretty much a pass rush specialist or just a pass down specialist at least. Joshua Uche. I've heard he prefers to go by Joshua, so I'm just gonna stick to Joshua. But let's start with what he can do off the edge, because the way I noted it on Twitter, and I think it's the right way to put it. The Chiefs could definitely use someone, maybe not even another guy, just someone that can win on an island against an offensive tackle on a pass down, right? Where you just showed how on that goal line stand, all the attention's on Chris Jones. George is coming on. They have blitzers that obviously take the attention. There are opportunities for players to be one-on-one on an island. I think Felix has gotten some of those opportunities and maybe just isn't as effective as they need to be. And Mike Dana's injured. Charles Omenihu obviously still coming back from his hampering. But Josh Uche certainly looks like a player that when you put him just isolated on an offensive tackle, he's going to give them fits. He has a deep bag of pass rush moves. He really likes to kind of, use his in and out quickness. You'll see it in a sack here. I'll show, but just really has like kind of that horizontal or just side to side quickness where he can threaten up the edge and boom, he's in the inside, or the other way. Like let's go back to this first play. Actually the second play, against Trent Brown. You're going to see him, threaten the inside, really commit to it for an extent, obviously not, super selling out, you can probably tell he's still keeping his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage, but it does get Brown inside, and just the ability to go all the way from being, working inside to going all the way around the edge. I know that's Trent Brown. You're not necessarily one of the, cleanest pass pro guys around that arc, right? And you're going to see him, give Brown trouble here too, where threatens up the arc, right? Going to get him going, and then just that really sharp jab step inside, really quick, and then look at him recover too. He gets in a decent position, to kind of, if Burrow holds on to that ball, he could still make a play. But then this first one is honestly maybe a favorite because he just messes with this dude for a quick second. And, I don't know if that's something that Joe Cullen or Spags is, necessarily, cool with the, the real, because, you don't see a lot of 2-point stance where they're just coming off like this without, much momentum off the rush. A lot of, Spags wants his guys flying off the ball, wants his guys penetrating. But when you have the talent like this where, yeah, he just gives him a little shimmy, then bats his hands down, goes around the outside, dips. Just a thing of beauty, Caleb. What do you think about it?
Well, they've definitely not had anyone that's going to like bend the edge quite like he can, and they really haven't had like the prototypical speed rusher. FAU still looks like he's a little bit of ways away. So they, why not go out and get this guy? I think it's funny. You hear like Bill Belichick talk about him on Pat McAfee's show because Belichick drafted him. Why? I mean, he's like, yeah, he's a good player. He just doesn't always have the most opportunities to do what he does because the Patriots aren't often winning games. You take a look at his pressure percent, Ron. His pressure percent is up close to 14%, which is pretty high. Like, I think the high, guys among qualified leaders in the league are somewhere between usually 13 and 16%, pressure per snap rate. So it's not like he comes in and he's ineffective. The sacks thing to me is a little bit baffling just because, you see like some of the stuff where, he had the double-digit sack a couple of years ago, but he's never had more than 5 in any other season. Well, sacks are kind of a random stat. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't. He's never been around the teammates like he's going to have in Kansas City. Like the Chiefs have a strong defensive line right now. Like they're playing pretty good football. Chris Jones is drawing a ton of attention. Ron, I think I know what play this is. I was watching this one the other night against future Hall of Famer he's going against here. But just this stuff, just to be able to bend the arc and get around him. And that Tyron Smith's not what he used to be. He's still got long enough arms to keep a guy out. You see the jab, then back out, and then throw that little rip and dip move right there at the end. That's fast, man. That's beating a lot of guys in the league. It doesn't matter how old someone is. That's beating a lot of tackles in the league. Like, it doesn't matter how long. Like, he's going to get a sack on a play like that because obviously it doesn't matter how long your cornerbacks have to, protect for there. There's no chance the ball's getting out. But on some of these plays where the Chiefs corners hold up and it's good coverage, the quarterback kind of has to stand there, thinks about scrambling. That's when I think we're going to see his motor take over as well.
Well, you mentioned the sacks just in Uche's perspective. But when you look at the Chiefs, they're top 5 in total yards per game allowed. They're top 5 in points allowed per game. They're top 5 in pressure rate this year, but they are like 23rd in sack rate. So, it's a raw number. It's something that, obviously the Chiefs defense is getting it done. So, the sacks aren't as important, but this, it kind of maybe tells you that the Chiefs would like someone that can finish, maybe and get a few more of those sacks instead of the ball getting out. Even if it is pressured, even if it is an uncomfortable throw, there's still always the chance, right, that it could be a completion. You want to finish that play, and Uche is definitely a finisher, which is going to be shown on this next clip. I really enjoyed kind of his relentless, using his power too on this one against Miami. Setting up the power with speed at first. Oops, went to the wrong one. And there we go. Again, this is Huntley at quarterback, right? Not necessarily, great competition for him to go against, but an athletic quarterback, right? Someone that can escape the pocket. But what you're going to see is, let me back it up, off the edge. That tight end's over him, right? And that's one thing I will say, as the season wore on, watching Uche and like on the film, he had tight ends over him much, much more kind of like after the first couple weeks. I think, that did limit his production a little more, maybe, knowing that like he might be the only, kind of scary pass rusher or just kind of dangerous rusher on the Patriots defense currently. Keon White, obviously a good one too. But I just, off the edge, needing that tight end to help. Hopefully he, doesn't have that as much right with the Chiefs. There's going to be other guys, getting that help. But here again, coming off the edge, kind of going to scream upfield for a few steps. Doesn't completely do it, doesn't sell it out. But then he just boom brings the power. Sound like the Costco guys there. Brings the power. Blows it up. I did not get approval from Caleb on that one.
The Costco guys stole the boom from John Madden.
True.
Let's get that established.
Right. You know what?
That might be tweeted later tonight. They're thieves. They stole that from John Madden. So there's that. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Costco guys and all their nonsense, but
no, you're right. I insulted the origination and the football, obviously, boom is all about, originated with John Madden in the booth. So you're right. No, shout out John Madden, RIP. Great documentary on his life. I remember watching it when he passed away. Okay, we're getting late here it's not even late. It's 6:45. We're usually late on this. Let's just enjoy Josh Uche, people. Let's just enjoy a true edge rusher, a true pass rusher that has a mixed bag of tricks. Again, just brings the power here. Keeps relentless, keeps his hands off him, right? You kind of see him batting his hands away. He's not letting, the right tackle, re-engage with him, completely, even though obviously it's messy. It would have been hard anyway, right? Just Huntley kind of not necessarily having the best pocket presence here at the back of his drop. He kind of runs into it. But again, Huntley's fast, has closing speed, but so does Uche. So that was, it was cool to see that. And speaking of closing speed, there was only one play I found this year, and I only watched this year's film. Hey, I could watch the 11.5 sacks he had a couple of years ago, but let's be honest, like, things change, people change pretty quick. Like, you got to know who he is now. And it still feels like he could, be a guy if he's in the right situation to get 11.5 sacks. But this play also kind of shows that not just the pass rush, that he has athleticism, recognition, and just overall playmaking. This is a strong play where he really does come upfield pretty hard on the rush. This is a third down. Thinking he's going to be getting after the quarterback. Quick pivot, makes the solo tackle to get fourth down. So athleticism, had some off-ball linebacker experience at Michigan. Kind of was a tweener at his last year there. Had a little bit of, a little bit of off ball with the Patriots at the beginning of his career, but he's been strictly edge rusher for the last few years, and that's when he's been shining. And I think the Chiefs are just going to, utilize all of his everything in his bag of tricks off the edge, and that again includes even dropping into coverage, picking up things because he's athletic, and he's even more athletic than the guys they've had dropping who do a good job. Like Karlaftis does a good job, Danigas does, even Wharton honestly does a good job dropping and just kind of figured it out, but. Uche is definitely going to help against mobile QBs like Allen and Jackson. Lego Migo says, great comments tonight. Hope anyone else watching, that wants to, contribute to the show. We'd love to, have conversation points like that. Cause yeah, I mean, Caleb, how often did the Chiefs defense struggle against mobile quarterbacks?
All the time. I mean, pretty frequently. I think they've gotten a lot better as they've gotten more athletic at linebacker. So I had a friend of mine bring something up. He kind of said that Uche plays kind of like how Frank Clark wanted to play his last couple of years in Kansas City, except for he's got like the bend that Frank Clark just never kind of had because he was kind of at that point in his career where he was starting to get beat up and the athleticism just wasn't there anymore. But there were a few times, Frank Clark would turn on the speed. I'm actually thinking back to some of those times when they'd like let Willie Gay rush off the edge too. He kind of has a little bit of that kind of closing speed like you saw in that last play. And obviously not as much as Willie Gay, who was an off-ball linebacker. Yeah. But there's definitely, I think, a few comparisons there. You can see the few traits. Obviously, the Chiefs like Michigan guys, so they went ahead and went after him like they do.
He's number 55. Yeah, I was just going to say that, yeah.
Nah, man. I'm excited about it. I mean, what did they give up for him? A 6th-round draft pick?
Yeah, no, conditional if he contributes enough, so that could be already flipped back. No, a very low risk, high reward move. I mean, you see the speed rush, because that's the thing. Early in Frank Clark's Chiefs career, he was kind of technically the speed rusher. I think on early downs he could play with power and be as the strong end, but he was the guy kind of getting into the back of the pocket, kind of dipping. That's what he when he was, doing his thing in his prime in Kansas City.
Yeah, and the relentless stuff, you think back to like when Deshaun Watson was here in the divisional game, some of those sacks that Frank Clark had were 5 seconds plus into the play. He just stuck with it.
Yeah, no, and 55. So we got D Ford, Frank, and hopefully Uche continues the recent tradition, I guess, is 55. I don't know why I said D Ford. That was a bad word. I should censor that. YouTube should censor me for that.
All right. Done with that. No more D Ford talk around here.
Yeah, no, we got, oh man, that 2018 defense compared to now. And it just feels good. Football is real when you have a good defense. It just feels like you're cheating a little bit when you win on offense and your defense sucks. You gotta have good defense, good special teams, and good offense. Chiefs have all three going. Oh, special teams, actually, penalties. Ugh. Maybe not special teams. Offense and defense coming on strong, 7-0 people. Thanks for joining us tonight or whenever you watch this. Hope you enjoyed the breakdown. We love going in depth with y'all. We definitely have, a big game coming up against Tampa. Although I do think the Chiefs are going to continue to be on a roll. Caleb, any little quick predictions before we get out of here on that Tampa game? I think you were kind of leaning that way too.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's defense is not quite as good as it's been in the past. They're struggling in the secondary. I still think they have a pretty strong front seven. They're just not as strong in the secondary. Going to be interesting to see what happens with them. I think they've got some talented running backs, but obviously they've got massive injuries in their receiving core right now, kind of limiting what their offense can do. But they're going to be fired up. They have talent. Baker Mayfield is having a good season, which he is having a good season. I don't think there's any way around that. Obviously his guys, No,
they're one of the best offenses statistically in the NFL this year, but they just lost Chris Godwin. Mike Evans, had that, hamstring injury that looked like he got shot in that Monday night game. But no, the Buccaneers offense honestly has been very efficient. But whenever we get these quarterbacks, Caleb, nothing against Baker, but he's just kind of in that Brock Purdy mold or the Kirk Cousins mold where, Baker can run a little bit, but I'm not worried about him, getting around. We're going to, suffocate him in the pocket. He's going to make some, throws he wants to take back or just uncomfortable throws. Yeah, I have a good feeling, especially in Arrowhead, baby. I have a good feeling about Monday night.
Yeah, and then on offense, take a few shots. put that fear back into the rest of the league, take a couple shots of Worthy, see if something happens, because that's just going to continue to put fear and open things up. Get Hopkins involved, should be a good time.
Yeah, no, Worthy was opening stuff up for Hopkins this game, and you saw his route tree kind of expand. Nate Christensen talked about that in for the site this week, but that's the thing. Once D-Hop gets going more, teams are going to have to pick their poison, and it could be just a little slip for a big play. So yeah, let's get another big touchdown for X at home in a primetime spot. Excited for the rest of the season. Let's get to, we're in November football now, ladies and gentlemen. So that means, it's time for the playoff push. Chiefs have like a 3-game lead on, or the Ravens at least, but a 2-game lead on everybody else. Great position to be in. Thank you for joining us again. We will be back next week breaking down that Monday night game. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you like the YouTube page. Make sure you are subscribing, I should say, and like this video. Please and thank you. We are out.